Welcome, welcome to the Business Lunch Podcast with your host, Ryan Knight. And I'm sorry, we don't have lunch here, but I'm hoping that you're enjoying your lunch. We take this time out to just take a quick break from the everyday, talk about entrepreneurship, and really it's a behind the scenes look into what we do here at ACBN, the resources that exist in the community, and what I've been doing with Detailing Nights. And we're on a path to expand across Canada and into the US. So I'm bringing you on that journey. But first, I want to do a shout out to our sponsors. Jazz and Dad Start a Lemonade Stand, the book that I was able to write with my daughter Jasmine, tells the tale of a daughter wanting to buy a doll and her dad and parents say no. How are you going to get that doll yourself? So she goes on an entrepreneurship journey. Definitely check it out, read it to your kids. And also brought to you by Detailing Nights. We provide waterless car cleaning, coming to your house, to your office, cleaning your car on the spot without water and our eco-friendly cleaning supplies. But what I'm most proud of is our youth entrepreneurship program, teaching high school and college students how to start their own businesses using a mini version of our company. So on this journey of entrepreneurship and as we're expanding into different cities, I wanted to dig into the resources to find what are the things that you need to be able to launch a business from scratch. So I'm so glad to have our guest today, Dable Phillips, one of the managing directors at Empowered for X, because we are in the building of Empowered for X, brought to you by our production genius extraordinaire, DF Media Productions, Derek Fagan, and also in the Empowered for X building where they have co-working space, but Dable's going to tell you about all those resources. The reason why it's great that we have him on is because when you're thinking about starting a business, you need to know the resources to go to first. So again, thank you so much for being here, Dable. Could you tell us a little bit about the background and your role with Empowered for X?
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. It's great to be here. So, my name is Dable Phillips, once again, and one of the advisors here at Empower for X. So, my background is primarily engineering. I actually studied mechanical engineering at university. I also have a master's degree in mechanical engineering. But along the way, I began to get different ideas about businesses that I wanted to create.
Gotcha.
So started one business with a couple of friends and grew that. The business branched out into another business. Eventually, I found out that I would get friends and colleagues who are looking to start business or looking to start businesses and were looking for advice, looking for help, and basically looking for answers to questions. How do we do this? How do we do that? So it started just almost free of charge. I'll just speak with them, share my experience with them, share the little knowledge I had at the time with them. And eventually, some of those friends and colleagues started, offering, would you be willing to get paid to do this for us on a full-time basis? So that's how I sort of got into operations consulting.
Right.
And my path eventually merged with Empowered for X on that journey.
Gotcha.
Starting with helping out some of the entrepreneurs within the ecosystem and within the network, offering them advice, offering them coaching, offering them basically an additional pair of eyes and an additional brain to help them in thinking about their businesses or improving their businesses. So that's a little bit of
it's interesting that you capture entrepreneurs typically when they're in their startup phase and they're thinking about or trying to formulate their ideas. So what would you say are, I won't say trends, but things that you typically see that are maybe what entrepreneurs miss when they're first starting out?
Okay, so in terms of trends, I would say there are different types of entrepreneurs, or people become entrepreneurs for many different reasons. Based on my experience and people we meet, some people are simply looking for extra income. Some people are looking for something else to do apart from their 9 to 5.
Gotcha.
Some people have a hobby that they now want to branch out into. And some people have an idea that they think is going to be big or could be big, or they could offer out to other
Yes.
people. So the first thing is, we sort of try to identify what type of entrepreneur we're looking at.
Gotcha.
Because you need to understand what that person's motivation is. So if a person's motivation is simply, I want a second stream of income, it's different from, I have this great idea and I want it to go everywhere. I'm willing to give up everything to make
Right.
it happen.
Like the
So
full deep dive.
yeah, deep dive. So you need to identify, what type of entrepreneur. So based on that, we then start to ask questions about the underlying idea. I think one of the most important things is, has it ever been done before?
Okay.
That's the very first thing. So if you think you have this great idea, you're in one corner of the world, has it ever been done before?
Right.
Even at a very small level, if you wanted to build something 10x large, has somebody done it at 1x already?
Okay.
So that's the very first thing. Find out if it has been done anywhere.
Okay.
And that sort of helps to guide you in terms of your thinking. So if part of it has been done before, then you don't have to start from scratch.
Makes sense.
You can take
Right.
best practices, or you can take established practices from those that have started it and begin to build. So I usually say that is step one is, has it been done before? Go and find out.
I like that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm curious, what drew you to entrepreneurship? Because you said you'd been starting your businesses and then were able to help others, friends that had started their businesses as well. So what was that initial draw for you to get into the space?
So I'm an accidental entrepreneur completely.
Okay.
So I was working in finance, regular 9 to 5, but during the weekends, I would help my friends and family that wanted to move.
Okay.
So moving houses,
Yes.
moving to new apartments. So I just helped them on the weekend. I'd get a truck, get a few guys around and, help them pack up, help them unpack, help them move things. Not getting paid any money, just, hey, let's have
Gotcha.
drinks, let's have food at the end of it. So I did that for one friend, did that for a couple of friends, and those friends started giving my name and my details to other friends.
Okay.
Saying, hey,
So it started to
they
spread a
will
little
help
bit.
me, call him, he'll hook you up.
Were they telling them like, oh, for a case of beer, it's good?
Okay, so yeah, for some fried chicken.
Right.
But that's how it started, really. And eventually, I found out that every single weekend was booked helping
Whoa.
friends.
Whoa.
And
Yes.
it wasn't something I set out to monetize until a very close friend and colleague who I had actually helped move, and he just recognized it and said, Debo, do you think you should start charging for this service?
Right.
I mean, you do it every weekend already. So he was, more experienced in the business space. He trained as an accountant and had worked with large
Right.
businesses. So he sat down with me and he said, you know what, let's test this out as a business and let's see what happens to it. And that's basically how my very first business started.
I love it.
So we incorporated it and, we started helping people move.
So it's interesting that you did decide to incorporate, because that's a back and forth that we often go back and forth with entrepreneurs to say, how do you register? Some people aren't registered at all. So at the early stages, you realize that you should incorporate. So why was that important type of registration for you so early?
Yeah, so I would say first, in terms of being professional, you always want to come across to your clients as being professional. So
Right.
I'll tell you for free, if I see your name as your company, or if I see your company as your company incorporated, it immediately sets you apart.
Right.
And then, if you start to think of, I had the benefit of, that my friend was a trained accountant and a financial advisor. So he said, set it up like it's a proper business
From the jump.
from the jump.
Right. Yes.
Instead of waiting a couple of years and then trying to figure things out, how do you want to set it up right from the jump to make it a
Right.
proper business? So we got it incorporated, got all the necessary documentation and permits, got bank accounts opened right from the jump.
Yes, yes.
So for me, I had the benefit of having someone very experienced share that right at the beginning.
Okay.
And my own thinking is, it's the best way. Just start as you mean to really grow.
But it's interesting that you had expertise around you, and that was the advice that they were given. So now, if you don't have this expertise, use this video as that extension of the expertise that Dabo got from his friend so that you can understand how to start your business from scratch properly. So now, I'm curious if we can look back. So when you were first starting, and if Empowered for X had existed around then, what were some of the services that Empowered for X does now that you would have loved to have when you were starting out your business?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is operations, and I'm biased. Operations.
Yes,
is my
yes.
specialty.
It's like, talk to me first.
But operations
Yes.
literally is how everything ties together,
Okay.
and how it ties together to help you deliver the product or the service to your clients. So at the beginning, when I started that business, figuring out how everything fit together was really challenging.
Right. Yes.
Even although I had, a professional colleague, it was still not easy figuring everything out. So that's one of the services we have at Empowered Forex, which is having not just someone like me, an operations person, but other consultants
Right.
who are specialists in key areas. So legal, finance,
Right.
technology, HR. Those are like 4 pillars of every single business:
Yes.
marketing and sales.
Right.
If you want to build any business, you're going to hang it on any of those 5. So that's something we have at Empowered Forex, that if I had the opportunity to have plugged into, to being able to sit down with these experts to say, hey, I have this great business idea.
Right.
I'd like to get it started properly. How do I start it properly, sitting on these solid pillars? And that's something we have at Empowered Forex. I wish I'd had that when I started.
I love that. And I'm curious your thoughts on, because I know when I started, it was my home address. So people would just show up saying like, oh, I heard that you do car cleaning. Can I get it done? It's like, actually, we don't do it here. We actually come to where you are.
Yeah.
But then realizing people just know where I live. So one of the things I love about Empowered Forex is the business office. So
Yes.
you get the address. So beyond just getting an address here that you can use as a professional address instead of your home, what are some of the other foundational elements that Empowered Forex offers?
So beyond the address is a very important thing, because like you've said, you don't want people turning up at your home.
Right.
And as much as you can, you want to create some separation between your personal
Right.
and your home. So we have that virtual address facility, so that you can, if you wanted to register so we have many people who register their businesses using our virtual addresses. So right from the jump,
Yes, yes.
this is the business address that they have.
Right.
So what that means is you can have all your mail sent here, any of your statutory mail sent here, receive it, and we can hand it over to you. So that gives you a good start. Another thing that we have as part of the virtual addresses is that we give the entrepreneurs the opportunity to use the space
Right, right. Yes.
for a couple of hours every single month. So what that means is, if you have an important meeting, you want to meet with a client and you don't want to meet in your living room or in your
Right.
garage,
Yes.
you can come to a professional space, sit in an office, you have a professional environment, and you can have those meetings. So that's one thing that we offer as well. Another thing that we offer is a door into our network, because once you connect
Right.
with us as a virtual member, we also open you up to our consultants network, then our network of other entrepreneurs, because there's nothing like being around people who are doing what you're doing to give you
Yes.
encouragement.
And they get it, because I know talking with family a lot of times they might not get it, and I know talking with my mom, she's like, listen, just go get the government job, be safe, this entrepreneurship thing. But my dad was like, nah, don't worry, go and do it, right? But talking with other family, again, with people that don't understand entrepreneurship, it's hit or miss. But being in a network like you're saying, surrounded by other entrepreneurs, a lot of them that have those big dreams, big goals. So one thing around, you said when you're building it out, build it for kind of what you foresee. So the difference between a person that's just doing it part-time and then a person that wants to 10x Are there different approaches in how they set it up?
Yeah, they are. They are. I think I'd say the approach is on a scale. So we use the DIY to modify scale. So
Gotcha.
DIY means do it yourself, and modify means make others do it for you. So
Okay.
we use that scale to sort of measure how you want to approach the business. So if you're starting and it's part-time, you'll do a lot of DIY. So
Yes,
you do your
yes.
accounts yourself. You send your invoices yourself.
Right.
You are the customer service person. You're the delivery person. You
Every
do
answer.
everything.
Yes.
So that is the DIY, and that's typical of people who have it as just a side hustle. Then, as you begin to grow in your sales or in your customers, you start to move up that scale, and
Right.
what you want to do is to delegate more of what it is that you do, because you can't do everything at the same time.
Yes. And
and-
not everything at
At
high
a
quality.
high level, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's some things you do well as an entrepreneur. So some people love sales, so they can spend hours talking to people and getting them
Yes,
to buy a
yes.
product. Some people don't like sales.
True.
Yeah. So you sort of need to identify what is it that you do well and what don't you do well. And the things you don't do well are the things you want to look to hand over to other people to do
Okay.
on
yes,
that
yes.
journey. So, what we just generally observe is people who have those businesses as side hustles or side, everything is DIY. But that DIY, it limits your growth. You can only DIY to a particular level
Right.
until you definitely will then need to start handing those things over to other people to do for you.
And so we talked about kind of the two approaches, the side hustle and then the 10x. And I believe you have experience with like international, like running businesses around the world. So when a person is thinking 10x and then you're more versed in global, what is something that somebody should be wary of when selling outside of Canada? Because we want to expand into the US, but now that's like a whole nother world down there. So how do you kind of allow people to get into that mindset of going international?
So I'd say the most important thing is don't do it too quickly.
Okay.
You have to be very, very confident, reasonably confident in your product, even in your starting market. Get comfortable.
Yes, yes.
Make sure you've tested it. People love the product in your starting market. Then do a soft start when you're going international, because
Right.
something we usually take for granted is that cultures are different.
Okay, yes.
Spending patterns are different. Requirements are different. So because someone in Canada, people in Canada love your product, they love your service, it doesn't mean it will translate to even the US
Very true.
that quickly.
Yes.
So you always need to test. Take it there in its small version and test. Let people try it out. Let people see if they like it.
Yes.
And then one step at a time. One of the things that we observe is a lot of people starting businesses say, hey, Canada, next step, US, we're going big, we're blowing out. And like, no, like, get that product right.
Okay,
Because
yes.
as you cross markets, you have less, if I can say, people are less forgiving of your product
Okay.
once you leave your primary market, because your primary market might have gotten the chance to grow with your product. But
Right.
once you get to a new market, it's a fresh pair of eyes, new people taking on that product, they're not as forgiving.
It needs to be somewhat more polished.
Yeah, definitely more
Yeah.
polished, and you need to get it reasonably right. But then everybody should take the risk.
Okay.
Yeah, you should take the risk to go to another country, and you
right.
should be willing to learn the lessons as you start. There will be plenty of lessons. I'm sure you know that already.
And learning about how, because especially in the US, it's almost like every state is different.
It's
like they're their
different,
own
exactly.
country.
Exactly.
But I'm curious if you've seen around the world what other countries are interesting to move into that people probably don't think about, because we always see US very close. Yeah, that's next. But are there other countries you found that are better?
So, I mean, not necessarily better, but giving you a different dimension. Europe is huge.
Gotcha.
Europe is huge. Now,
Right.
the advantage you have with Europe is if you sell to any country within the European Union, you have access to that entire market. And the regulations and restrictions are reasonably harmonized.
Yes, yes.
So I always share with people, next step, look at Europe, because that is a big market
Interesting. Yes,
that
yes.
you can get in. And if you set up in any of the EU countries, you have access to the rest of the markets.
Gotcha.
And you don't need to create additional regulation. The regulation is fairly uniform. So I always tell people, you want to try the US, go for it, but try the European Union as well.
Wow, okay.
It's a great, a couple of years ago, I would say, hey, go to England, try it out.
Yeah, okay.
Because they were still part of the European Union. But now I'd say, try out the European Union. It's a huge market, 500 million people.
Okay, whoa. So, and I know with Africa as well, people talk about, hey, we should be building in Africa, but is it because it doesn't have that same like European Union cohesion where each country is connected in a structured way?
Yeah, so Africa is still more fragmented. They're doing a lot of work to try to create unions. So you have the West African Union, you have the South African Union, but there's still a lot of fragmentation. So you won't get that opportunity of being able to enter multiple countries at the same time.
Right.
But for Africa, depending on if you're looking at sub-Saharan Africa or not, you have a couple of test markets that you should definitely try out.
Okay, right,
and those would usually tell you how you would fare across the rest of the continent. So, for instance, a lot of companies go first to South Africa, and that's because a lot of international companies are established in South Africa. So you have some level of regulation and environment that is similar to Europe, and so definitely try out South Africa as an entrant. Thereafter, after South Africa, most people usually look at Ghana if you're looking at West Africa.
Okay, right.
And then, of course, this is something that a lot of people say, if you can bring a business to Nigeria, which is one of the biggest countries in Africa, if you can survive in Nigeria and grow a business, you can go anywhere in Africa.
Okay.
So I would usually
it's like
say
the New York of Africa.
Yeah, it's like the melting pot, right? So I would usually say South Africa, Ghana as test markets if you want to get into Africa.
Gotcha.
And from there, you can typically be able to tell how you should fare in the other markets.
Solid. And as we wrap up, I'm curious, what is next for Daybold? And again, also, what's next for Empowered Forex? I don't know where you're planning to go with the business, or is there businesses that you're still running on, on your own that you're looking to expand?
Yeah, so I'm involved with quite a few businesses now because I act as an advisor. So most times I'm not 100% on the day-to-day, but I act as an advisor typically to their CEO. So I'm looking to expand the number of businesses that I advise because the more you do it, the more you learn, and you take that knowledge to help other people, other businesses that are coming on board. So that's what's next for me. I'm looking to connect with more businesses that I can help and I can advise. For Empowered Forex, we're looking to truly expand our virtual membership. Right now, we have 3 locations: Brampton, Scarborough, and Ottawa.
Yes.
So we're looking to add more locations for our virtual memberships.
Solid.
We're also looking to increase the number of programs that we're doing. So, we're doing more programs within the social enterprise space because we see a lot of entrepreneurs want to set up social enterprises.
Yes, exactly.
So this year we're going to be putting on very, very big programs helping entrepreneurs set up social enterprises. So basically set it up as a social enterprise from the jump.
Solid.
So we're doing a lot. We're going to be doing a lot in that. So yeah, those are 2 of the things that we're going to do more this year. So definitely watch this space.
Yeah, appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for being on today.
I
know one thing that we do with Empowered Forex is our grant info sessions. So tomorrow, January the 11th at oh my gosh, 1 o'clock, we're gonna have our next info session. But every other Wednesday, or at least once a month, we do these info sessions to make sure that you know what grants are out there, and we can even help you with the writing of the grant. I know Empowered for X has grant writers, and I just consider myself a grant hunter, so always looking for different grants that are out there. So again, thank you for having lunch with us. Hopefully you enjoyed this session as we talk about starting that business from scratch, what resources exist. Definitely tap into Empowered for X, which the website is empowered4x.com. So you can check out the virtual offices, the actual co-working space here. There's event space that you can host events and do workshops from. And talk to an advisor, be able to come and get the advice from somebody that has been through it, so that, again, it's DIY, doing it yourself, but you have support around you. The entrepreneurship journey can definitely be a lonely one with the ups and downs, but knowing that you have the support around you makes the journey a lot more fulfilling and less stressful. So again, until next week, we'll see you on the Business Lunch podcast. Have a good one.
Thank you.
That first company to talk to, Empowered for X is a little